Hare Krishna.
Is that correct?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So till now we have discussed about Anartha Nivritti. I talked about how in the conditioned stage.
I can see what you have this under your ear.
Okay. In the sorry, it can't keep.
It's not comfortable.
Now what did you do? Like this?
Underneath your ear. It's on the side of your ear. You want it underneath if you can.
Like this.
I can adjust over there.
Please.
But it's not perfect. That's good. No, that's perfect.
Okay, thank you. So we discussed about Anartha Nivritti till now. How the anarthas are that which is actually not of much value. It appears to be supremely valuable in the conditioned stage. And we discussed about how detachment can be sustained at some level through intelligence. Now we'll talk about jnana and buddhi. What is its role in bhakti? So Jiva Goswami talks about this in his commentary to the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. You got the old PPT, Prabhu. You got the old PPT. I'm sorry. Just a minute.
See it again?
You got the old PPT.
Hang on.
Sorry. So basically, Rupa Goswami says in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that the copy over there.
Here's the drive.
There's only one. Just open it. You open that one only. Go down. No. Just go fast. Go to Artha. Fast. Yeah, go ahead now from here. Yeah, this is right. Thank you. So, there in the 64 elements of 64 items of devotional service that Rupa Goswami talks about, he says that jnana is not one of them. So, Jiva Goswami has written a commentary, Durgam Sangamanitika, that is a commentary in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and he analyzes over there that what does he mean when the jnana is not an element of bhakti? So he says that what does that jnana refer to? It refers to Atma Gyan, Ishvara Gyan or Ekatva Gyan. Just the knowledge of the soul alone, or the knowledge of... Basically these are the different categories of Gyan we can have. First I know about myself, then I know about God, then I know about the relationship between the two. So especially if the Gyan about myself and Ishvara culminates in Ekatva, then that kind of jnana is unfavorable to bhakti. So, actually we may say that if jnana itself is rejected as an element of bhakti, then, or it's said to be not at all a part of bhakti at all, then bhakti also has scriptures in it. And we also study those scriptures. So, when he says that jnana is not an element of bhakti, he's primarily talking about jnana as the jnana which culminates in we understand ourselves as soul, we understand the Supreme, and then we say that Aham Brahmasmi, that I am Brahman. So if that knowledge culminates in that knowledge is unfavorable to bhakti, and that knowledge is not to be accepted. So he says, why is this jnana pratikul to bhakti, unfavorable? Okay, because in its content or its constitution, it is when the idea that we are one with God, then it denies the eternality of bhakti. In its application, what does it do? All emotions are false because there's only consciousness that exists. Any emotion that we experience in a relationship with anyone, that's all illusion. So then that leads to the hardening of the heart. And ultimately the destination is the merging, which actually is the end of bhakti. So that means the whole frame of analysis is actually unfavorable to bhakti. In the beginning itself we say that I have to ultimately go beyond any relationship. And in the process, we we give up emotions, and in the end, we just think that we have merged, so then there are no emotions at all. So this way, throughout it is unfavorable to bhakti. But the jnana can also be anikul. So in bhakti, when we have jnana, our focus is not on the oneness of the soul with God, but the subordination of the soul to God. The focus is on the glory of God, glory of Krishna. And when we understand the glory of Krishna, then in application, as we understand more and more the glory of Krishna, rather than the hardening of the heart, there is the stabilization of devotional emotions. Krishna is so wonderful. Krishna is such is the greatness of Krishna, such is the sweetness of Krishna. Therefore, let me become devoted to him. So this knowledge is actually favorable to bhakti. And in its destination, actually deepens our appreciation of the Lord's glories. So we have some understanding of Krishna's glories. The more we study about Krishna, the more we can appreciate his glories more and more. So Krishna in the Chaturshloki Bhagavad Gita also talks about this. In 10.8, first verse in Chaturshloki Gita, he says that those who know that he is the source of everything, they are buddha. Aham sarvasya prabho mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante ma buddha bhava samanvita. They are buddha, they are wise, they are enlightened, but bhava samanvita. They have devotional emotion. And they understand that I am the source of everything, I am the sustainer of everything. The next verse is next verse is Machitta madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti charamanti cha. He says such devotees, their consciousness is fixed in me, their lives are dedicated to me, and they delight in enlightening each other about me. Now the bodhayantah word is very significant, because if they are already Buddha, if they are already enlightened, then why do they need bodhayantah? They are already enlightened, then how can they enlighten each other? The point is that Krishna's glories are unlimited. And the devotee is enlightened, and the devotee can still keep getting more and more appreciation of Krishna's glories. And in that way, the more knowledge of Krishna we get in the devotional context, the more we can relish his sweetness. Just like we have the Bhagavatam verses themselves, they are wonderful. We have Srila Prabhupada's purports, they unpack the Bhagavatam. They expand the Bhagavatam for us. And we can relish the Bhagavatam more and more. The Acharya's commentaries, the commentarial tradition is just meant to help us to enhance our appreciation of Krishna's glories as it is revealed in the tradition, as it is revealed in the scripture. So this knowledge is actually very favorable to bhakti. And when I talked about buddhi earlier, when you talk about buddhi simply as intelligence, which, how temptations are bad, how indulgence is entangling. If the buddhi is only focused on that buddhi cannot sustain for long. That buddhi will be overwhelmed. But if our buddhi is focused on Krishna, and we understand how wonderful Krishna is, then actually the study of philosophy, the use of our intelligence to acquire the knowledge about Krishna, that can make us more and more fixed in devotion to Krishna. The Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said, Siddhanta baliya chitte na kare alas, iha hite Krishna lage sudrudha manas. So, Siddhanta baliya, some people say this is all philosophy. I am not interested. I am simply interested in rasa. I am interested simply in Krishna. Siddhanta baliya chitte na kare alas. Don't be lazy about this. Why? Iha hite, by this Siddhanta, Iha haite Krishna lage sudrudha manas. By understanding the Siddhanta properly, our mind will become fixed on Krishna firmly. So, sudrudha manas. So, Siddhanta has this effect of increasing our focus, of giving us the conviction that we can focus wholeheartedly on Krishna. So, knowledge for us as devotees, it is not just knowledge of the futility of material world or material pleasures. For us, knowledge primarily is the glory of Krishna. And when we focus on that, and that absorption in Krishna through our heart, through our intelligence, through all our faculties, that is what ultimately protects us from illusion. So when we are studying the philosophy, we see the philosophy not just as some kind of intellectual analysis to protect ourselves from Maya. We see the philosophy also as a gift from Krishna. And that gift is to enable us to come out of illusion. And this notion of the philosophical knowledge also as a gift is there in the Chatushloki in later verse, with the next two verses. Tesham satayuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upayanti te. Krishna says, those who are constantly devoted to me, I give them the intelligence by which they can come to me. The next verse is Tesham evanukam partham aham ajnana jam tamah nashayame atma bhavastho jnana deepena bhasvataha. So he says, I illumine the darkness that is there in the heart with the torchlight of knowledge. So for us, when we have a personal understanding of the Absolute, then we don't see knowledge as a tool that we are using to fight Maya. Or that by our knowledge, by our intelligence, we will analyze and we will overcome Maya. We see even the knowledge that we have, even the intelligence that we have as a gift from Krishna. And when we see it as a gift from Krishna, then even that knowledge connects us with Krishna. And that connection with Krishna helps us to gradually go beyond illusion, go beyond temptation. So in that sense, as I earlier said, intelligence helps us to understand that the lower taste is lower and to understand the higher taste is higher. So this intelligence, it can come simply by material analysis also. But that is not our thrust. Our thrust is in bhakti, we see the intelligence as a gift from Krishna. And when we see it as a gift from Krishna, then that intelligence which we have doesn't make us proud, thinking, I am so clever. We think that makes us more connected to Krishna, more indebted to Krishna. And we feel ourselves more enhanced in our devotion even through that knowledge. So going back earlier to the definition of Maya which the Bhagavatam gives us, anything which is seen as meaningful but which is disconnected from Krishna, that is Maya. So if we see knowledge, jnana as disconnected from Krishna, then that jnana becomes a part of Maya. But if we see the jnana as coming from Krishna, then that jnana also becomes the mercy of Krishna, and the jnana helps us to move closer to Krishna. So this is by jnana we understand that Krishna. Like this?
Yeah, we can also put the wire on the other side of the arm.
Okay.
Still not quite right.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So for us, when we see, no, it's come out. Should I try putting it here?
We'll have to move.
No. Sorry. What is?
We'll have to bend this the other way now. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Still loose. Am I audible?
I can adjust it.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Hopefully this
It's
will.
a little too far away.
Should I move this in? Sorry. Put it. Let's put this and I'll put my specs on top.
Okay, you want down here?
No, I'll just put this on first.
Okay, so now I have to bend it back the other way.
Okay, try it from here. No problem. Whatever it works out best. Hare Krishna. Okay. Thank you. So, when we see the jnana is connected with Krishna, then that jnana also becomes a part of our bhakti and it helps us to move closer to Krishna. So, now I gave earlier the example of the two-level existence, material and spiritual. So for us, when we talk about bhakti jnana, what it means is that first of all a higher level exists. That there is something beyond this material level of reality. And not only that, it gives us the knowledge that bhakti yoga is the best way to access that higher level of reality. Through bhakti yoga, It's like an elevator which will take us to that higher level. So this knowledge is, broadly we could say, this is Sambandha, Abhideya and Prayojan. A higher level exists. There is a higher reality, there is supreme reality Krishna, with whom I want to relate. Then Abhideya is the process. Okay, there is an elevator by which I can go up. Sambandha Krishna, Abhideya Bhakti, Prema Prayojan. So the knowledge in Bhakti, the jnana which sustains our buddhi, is entirely connected with Krishna. And a third is that actually prema, when we want to develop love for Krishna, we already have love for many objects in this world. And whatever is attractive at the material level is found in its fullest at the spiritual level. That means that maybe we may be attracted to beauty, we may be attracted to intelligence, we may be attracted to wealth, we may be attracted to power. So whatever is attractive in this world, the Bhakti Gyan helps us to understand that it is all present in Krishna in its fullest. And thus, instead of being attracted here, let me become attracted there. So this philosophical understanding, Iha haite Krishna lage sudrudha manas. By this, we will become wholeheartedly fixed in Krishna. So the idea is, this third point is based on Bhagavad Gita 10.41. Yad yad vibhuti matsattvam Shrimad urjitam eva va tattadeva vagachatvam mama tejo misha sambhava. So he says that, Krishna says that whatever is opulent, beautiful, glorious in this world, it manifests a spark of my splendor. Manifests a spark of my splendor means, Krishna is saying that the attractive objects of this world are not false, but they are only a spark. Now if it's dark and it's cold and we see a spark, now in the darkness the spark is fine, but spark does give some light, but how much light can it? We can't read anything in it. It can't relieve us from the cold. But if we have nothing else, then at least the spark will be attracted to the spark. So if you understand that the attractive objects of the world are like sparks, and then Krishna is the whole, then rather than getting captivated by the sparks, we will think, oh, this is so attractive, then how much more attractive Krishna will be. So that way, the Bhakti Jnana offers us a more complete understanding of even the pleasures present in this world. Because from the impersonal perspective, if this world is an illusion and somehow it is superimposed on the Brahman, then why should it have anything attractive in this world? It's simply an illusion. The attractiveness in this world is because all the attractive objects manifest a spark of Krishna's splendor. And this means that we are not meant to deny our experience of reality. Say for example, if something tastes good, all tastes are just illusion. If some music is good, all music is just, what is it? It's just some sound vibration in ether. It's all illusion. No, what we experience at the sensory level, it is also a reality. But the problem comes when we think it is only reality. And we get captivated by that. So whatever is attractive, somebody is beautiful. In the Bhagavatam also many places, there are descriptions of beauty given. It's not that beauty is to be seen is illusory. Yes, it is illusory in the sense that if you get captivated by that beauty and think this is what will give me pleasure, then that will delude us. But if we see the beauty of this world as a spark of Krishna's beauty, then we acknowledge that this is beautiful. But we have to deepen our experience. This beauty is simply a spark. And the whole is manifested in Krishna. So that's why the dharma, artha, kama, moksha, you say, dharma leads to artha. Artha can mean money and the objects which can be bought through money, which will fulfill our desires, kama. So Krishna is called as the Paramartha. He is the supreme artha. So the objects in this world are also artha to some extent. They are valuable for us, especially when we are existing in the world. But they can't give us lasting happiness. They can't give us lasting shelter. Krishna alone can give that. So in that sense, bhakti directs us from artha to paramartha. So Artha is the objects in this world which we are attracted to, and Paramartha is Krishna. So rather than saying, oh, everything attractive is just false in it. So now by Artha, I am referring here to the objects which are attractive in this world, and Paramartha is Krishna. So Artha is here, say Paramartha is here. Now Anartha is when we are attracted only to the Artha and we forget the Paramartha. So when we think of the worldly objects alone as attractive and we get captivated by them, forgetting Krishna, then they entangle us. But if the Artha can point us to Paramartha, if the Artha can be used in the service of Paramartha, so if we have wealth, if we have knowledge, if we have strength, if we have beauty, what all these resources, if when we see them in outside us, we see them as pointers to Krishna. If we have them, we see them as tools by which we can connect ourselves to Krishna. If somebody has wealth, then that is an important resource in this world. And that can be used for Krishna's service. Somebody has intelligence, that also can be used in Krishna's service. Somebody has knowledge, somebody has strength, somebody has beauty, all of these can be used in Krishna's service. So we don't simply reject them as false, but to think that they alone are the reality, that is false. So we deepen our, bhakti enables us to deepen our experience of reality that way. So now not only is this about objects, this is also about experiences. In today's world, people are very much interested in spiritual experiences. Somebody says, oh, I went here and I had this experience. It was a very spiritual experience. Now at one level we say this is all just, there's nothing spiritual about it. But at another level, Krishna says, Jayosmi Vyavasayosmi. So whenever some people go to say, they go into a helicopter and they jump down with a parachute from the helicopter and they have a big adventure over there. Somebody climbs up a mountain, say Mount Everest, and they feel a great sense of thrill over there. So Krishna is saying that this thrill, I am that thrill. Jayosmi Vyavasayosmi. So people's deepest experience is actually their experience of Krishna. But again, they don't know that it is the experience of Krishna. And that's why that experience may not take them towards Krishna. Now what is there in going up to a high mountain and feeling elated by going there? Actually they are getting just by going to the top of that mountain, they are getting a sense of Krishna. There is a beautiful pastime in the Lilamrit where Prabhupada was in Visakhapatnam, and then Prabhupada, the devotee was staying at a particular place, and there was a beach nearby. So Prabhupada went there and he took a bath over there. And Prabhupada told the devotees, come and swim. Now the devotees are new, so they thought, swimming is Maya. And then one of the devotees asked Prabhupada, isn't this Maya? Prabhupada said, quoted, Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi sasurayo pranava sarva vedeshu shabda khe pravashim. Prabhupada said that we are surrounded by water. Krishna says that I am the taste of water. Krishna says, I am the heat of the sun and the moon. He says, above was the heat, the sun and the heat and moon. Krishna says, I am the fragrance of the wind. He says, we are surrounded by Krishna. How can we forget Krishna? We were not remembering Krishna at all. So what happens is that same experience, it can be undergone without any connection to Krishna, or that can be gone seeing the connection with Krishna. So even when people have experiences, if we can see that this experience attracts them. So what is it that attracts them? So that millions of people go and say watch sports matches. Then what is it that they are attracted to in sports? They are attracted to their particular players. There are players who there are millions of fans there. So what is it that makes people attracted to them? Those players. At that level, that player is manifesting some opulence that is a spark of Krishna's splendor. And thus people are getting so captivated by them. So if we see the Krishna connection, then we can enable people, we can actually see that, people are attracted to this sports player. And there's just one spark of Krishna's splendor. So how much more Krishna will be attractive? And when we see this inclusive vision, Prabhupada also, there is on the way to Krishna, in that book Prabhupada says that if somebody is alcoholic and they can't give up alcohol, then they can think that the taste of alcohol is Krishna. Prabhupada says the taste of wine, the taste of liquor. Krishna says, I am the taste of water. And the water is present in everything. So, the taste of wine is Krishna. Prabhupada says, by thinking about Krishna in this way, one day they will become a great devotee. It's not by drinking wine they will become a great devotee. It's by thinking about Krishna, by drinking wine, they will become a great devotee. So the point is that the connection with Krishna. So if this connection with Krishna is there, then that's what takes us closer to Krishna. So Krishna is the Paramartha. Paramartha means that. So, no. One more slide. Okay. Let's come back to this. Yeah, so here this is a verse from Mukundmala Stotra, 9th text. Sarasija nayane sashanka chakre murabhidi maaviramasva chittarantum Sukhataram aparam na jatu jane hari charana smaranamrutena tulyam. So he is telling his own mind. The Vaishnava poets often personify the mind or the tongue and they encourage, delight in Krishna. So he says, oh my consciousness. He says, just delight in Krishna. He says, ma viramasva chittarantum. Oh chitta, oh consciousness, don't stop delighting in Krishna. Viramasva is to delight. Keep delighting in Krishna. What is this Krishna? Sarasija nayane. He has lotus-like eyes. Sashanka chakre. He has Shanka and he has Chakra in his eyes. Murabhidi. He is so heroic. He is the killer of the Mura demon. Ma viramasva chittarantum. Don't stop delighting in him. And Sukhataram aparam na jatu jane. I don't know any happiness greater than the happiness of connection with Krishna. So, Hari Charana Smaranamrute Natulyam. Smarana Amrita. Remembrance of Krishna as a nectar, and there is no joy that is comparable with that. So, going back to the example of the floor now. If water is flowing in a particular way because the floor is inclined, then what do? If we don't want the water to flow this way, just telling the water should not flow this way is not going to work. We need to do certain things. So there are 3 steps over there. First is that if the water is flowing this way, some restriction. If I just create some kind of wall or fence or just some elevated surface which blocks the water flowing there, that's restriction. And if the water is going in this way, I may forcibly push the water in the other direction. That is redirection. And ultimately, if we want the water to flow in the other direction, we reconstruct the floor. That if it is inclined this way, we make it inclined that way. When that happens, then the water will naturally flow in that direction. So when we have anarthas, then our water is flowing towards the water of our consciousness is flowing towards the worldly objects. And when we develop artha pravrutti, then the water starts flowing towards Krishna. So the restriction is what we talked about earlier. Restriction means we protect ourselves with our intelligence. We avoid exposure to the lower taste. We minimize or avoid exposure to the lower taste, and that way we protect ourselves. We don't let the consciousness go in that direction. But even if it goes, then redirection. Redirection means we push our consciousness towards Krishna. Consciousness goes towards sense objects, we push it towards Krishna. That is the whole process of sadhana bhakti, where the mind will wander, but we get it back to Krishna. The mind wanders, we again get it back to Krishna. And this is like the water flows in this direction, I flow it in that, I push it in the other direction, keep pushing it in the other direction. But by this, what will happen? Gradually, the floor gets reconstructed. When the floor gets reconstructed, then we become naturally attracted towards Krishna. So that will happen gradually when we become purified. So purification basically means that the default desires of our mind change. Right now our default desire, if I'm not doing anything, I start thinking about something. What I think about when I'm not thinking about anything, that reflects my attachment. So when I just sit idly and nothing to think about. My mind may go to money, my mind may go to sports, my mind may go to politics, my mind may go to sense indulgence, whatever it is. So that's my attachment. That means my mind, the floor of my consciousness is inclined in this way, it's going this way. But gradually as we become purified, then it will move this way. So if we have nothing to think about, automatically we'll think about Krishna. Now that will happen gradually through the practice of sadhana bhakti. But for that, when we understand that Krishna, it's not that we will be deprived of anything when we practice Krishna bhakti. Because whatever it is available over here, whatever attractive objects are there, the attractiveness of those objects is manifest in its fullest in Krishna. Through this understanding, we can become convinced about that Krishna is the Paramartha and he is the object to whom I should get attracted. And so I'll talk about pravritti in the next session. Quickly summarize what I spoke, and then we can have some questions. So I spoke about artha of Krishna as the supreme object, Paramartha, and in that I talked about what is the role of jnana in bhakti. So jnana, which focuses on aikatva, on oneness with Krishna, that jnana is anukul to bhakti, because in constitution it denies the eternality of bhakti. In application, it leads to hardening of the heart, and in destination, it leads to a termination of bhakti. But when the jnana is about the glory of Krishna, about the greatness and the sweetness of Krishna, then that jnana in its constitution itself, it actually focuses on how we are small and Krishna is great, the subordination of the jiva. Its application, it actually stabilizes our emotions in our relationship with Krishna. Yes, Krishna is so wonderful, I want to be devoted to him. And his destination, it actually gets us absorbed in Krishna's glories. So this is how the jnana of Krishna's glories is favorable to bhakti. And that is the jnana which we focus on in our devotional cultivation. Chaitanya Charitamrita also says that this understanding of Krishna through philosophy will make us will make our mind fixed on Krishna. And so in terms of the two metaphors, or the two level metaphor, the bhakti jnana helps us understand that okay, there is a higher level that exists, and bhakti yoga is the elevator to get to that higher level, and that whatever is attractive at this level, I'm not going to miss it if I go to the higher level. Rather, all of it and much more I'll get, because whatever is attractive here manifests a spark of Krishna's splendor. So while we are at this level, we don't deny things are not attractive. They are attractive, but we don't get captivated by them. You see that? Actually, this is just a spark. So how much more Krishna will be attractive? So it is with respect to objects that their attractiveness comes from Krishna. And even the experiences people have, our deepest experiences are our experience of Krishna. But we don't see that connection. So if we can see that connection, then we can ourselves move towards Krishna through those experiences, and we can help others to move towards Krishna also. And in terms of the floor metaphor, now we have to restrict through so that whatever our anarthas are, we don't indiscriminately expose ourselves to the anarthas. Then when the mind goes towards the sense objects, according to our anarthas, we push it towards the artha. So from the anarthas towards the artha, to the paramartha, we push our consciousness. That is the redirection. And ultimately, as we become purified, our default desires change. The mental floor becomes inclined towards Krishna. And then we can become joyfully absorbed in him. So thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments? Yes, please. Yeah, you have here? Okay.
I just wonder if you could explain a little more about the experience and how we can, at our stage of development of Krishna consciousness, experience Krishna to the point where it helps push away the non-truth.
Okay, yeah. So how can we, at our level of experience Krishna? I would think about three different things. First is Bhakti Pareshanubhava Viraktiranyatra cha. The Bhagavatam says in its 11th canto that Bhakti is the process that gives us Para Isha Anubhav. Anubhav is experience, Isha is the Supreme Lord, Para who is transcendental. That Lord cannot be experienced simply with our senses. He is experienced through Bhakti. So if I go to the temple and if my heart is dry, even if I look at the deities, I'll say, oh, this is just some decorated statues. If I go in a devotional mood, I pray, then I experience Krishna over there. So bhakti is the process that delivers experience of Krishna. And the result of that experience is viraktir anyatraja. That it leads, the experience is so fulfilling that it leads to detachment from other things. So we may feel that I don't have any experiences of Krishna. But the very fact that we are following the four regulative principles, we are detached from many worldly pleasures. And it is not that we are constantly battling to stay away from those pleasures. Yes, we have some anarthas with which we are battling. But broadly speaking, there are many pleasures which we were indulging in the past, that we have now just gone beyond. So that virakti itself is evidence that we have had some parishan. So otherwise, if we had not had that, we would not have been able to give up those worldly pleasures. That's the first point. Second point is that when we practice bhakti, when we experience Krishna also, we need jnana chakshu, we need the eyes of knowledge to understand that we are experiencing Krishna. So, say when a baby is newborn, when a newborn baby doesn't even know that there is a person called my mother. And the baby may be drinking milk from the mother's breast, but the newborn baby, very newborn, this is just something from some nice object is coming and I am drinking it. Not even aware what it is. But as the baby starts growing, he starts recognizing, this is my mother. And it's my mother giving me food, mother giving me milk. And say it's a cold night and the baby is trembling. If the mother sees the baby is trembling, mother comes and puts a blanket. Now the baby is asleep. And so the baby, say she's a girl, she's not even aware. She's not opened her eyes to see that that my mother has come and my mother has put the blanket. But just at one moment, the baby was feeling cold and shivering, and the next moment she feels comfortable and cozy and warm. She understands, my mother must have put a blanket over here. And now she has not opened her eyes and actually seen the mother. But based on her knowledge, whatever little knowledge she has, that my mother loves me, my mother cares for me, my mother provides for me, she understands my mother must have put this blanket. So same way, for us right now, our spiritual eyes are closed. So we can't see Krishna directly. Eventually our spiritual eyes will open and we will be able to see Krishna also. There is, at advanced stage, Baldev Vishnu said there is Divya Pratyaksha. Just like we have Pratyaksha now, you see with our senses. But Divya Pratyaksha means when the soul's eyes awaken, soul's eyes open, then at our spiritual senses we directly experience Krishna. But at our stage, so our eyes are closed, we can't perceive Krishna. But we can experience relief whenever we become absorbed in Krishna. So we may be agitated by desire, by worry, by anger, whatever. And if you somehow just get connected with Krishna, we start chanting His name, we hear kirtans, we take darshan, we pray, we start studying scripture, we get absorbed in Krishna. And in that absorption, we immediately experience relief. We experience relief. That relief which we experience amidst desire or anger or distress or any other negative emotions, that is actually our experience of Krishna. So, right now, because our spiritual eyes are not open, we can't see that it is Krishna whom we are experiencing. Just like the baby in first, I was feeling cold, now I am feeling comfortable. So this is my mother's love for me. So actually for us, it is Krishna who manifests, and He gives Himself He manifests as the relief that we get. Madashraya kathamrishta shunvanti kathayanti tapanti vividhastapa naitan madgata chetasaha. In Kapila's prayers, in Kapila's instructions, he says that my devotees madashraya kathamrishta. In my hearing about my delightful pastime, madashraya, they become so absorbed, kathamrishta, shunvanti kathayanti cha. As they hear and speak about this, tapanti vividhastapa. There are various miseries which we anyway go through in material existence. But naitan madgata chetasaha. Naita. We don't experience it because Madgata Chetasa. Consciousness is absorbed in Krishna. So, Madgata. And in this way, the relief that we are experiencing at our level is an experience of Krishna. So the first time I came in 2015, when I came to America, I had gone to one university. And there I spoke on regulating our mental diet. So after that, one student came and told me that just before this class, I was contemplating suicide. I had he had been in a relationship with a girl, and that girl had left him for some other boy. So he had felt frustrated. And so he said, but somehow I saw the poster of this program, I thought, let me come here. So he came for the program, and he heard, so he said, now I understood that it is not I who want to commit suicide. It is actually my mind telling me to do this. So I says, there's no need to, I told him about chanting, I told him, gave him Bhagavad Gita, and I connected him with the devotees there. The first time he had come. And then every year when I go, I meet him. When I come there, I meet him. I go to the university every year. So this year when I had gone, the previous trip, so he told me at that time, this was 2 years afterwards, he said, again I faced a similar situation. When I was in a relationship with some other girl, again she left me. But he said, this time, even the thought of suicide didn't enter in my mind. He likes to play, what is the instrument? Guitar? Which you put around the neck. Yeah, he likes to play a guitar. So he likes to sing. So he said that when I go, she sent a text message that we are breaking up. I don't want to see you. So he said, as soon as I got that, I just went to my room, closed my room, picked up my guitar and just started singing Hare Krishna. And he said 6 hours I was continuously singing. And he said that is the sweetest experience of my whole life till now. So that which would have been otherwise the most distressing experience, because I was absorbed in Krishna, it is the sweetest experience of my life. So what has happened over here? That blanket. The mother has pulled the blanket. So this is, now there's no mystical vision of Krishna, but we all have had this experience in our own way of relief when we take shelter of Krishna, we become absorbed in Krishna. So that is also our experience of Krishna. And third is that even when we are practicing bhakti, when we practice bhakti and just get absorption, sometimes we get the absorption, sometimes we don't get absorption. Sometimes we practice bhakti and bhakti practice can become mechanical. Every day I just chant, whatever, I do my devotional activities. But some days we just experience absorption. So that absorption that we get is actually Krishna's reciprocation. So when we don't get the absorption, does that mean Krishna is not reciprocating? It's not that Krishna doesn't reciprocate. It is that our mind is very distracted, so we are not able to connect with Krishna. But whenever we do get that absorption it just can make us, it transports us to some other level of reality. So that is itself an experience of Krishna. So for us, the detachment that we have got from worldly things, the relief that we get, the detachment from worldly attachments, the relief amidst worldly distress, and the absorption in Krishna, absorption in devotional activities, all these are the ways in which we can experience Krishna at our level. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Yes, Mother.
Your question, your answer was like relief from Krishna. So it's an experience of Krishna.
Thank you. Yes, Mother.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu.
Yes, here.
Okay.
So you mentioned buddhi, and just you kind of glossed over it in the beginning and focused more on jnana. But it appears to me that you mentioned jnana, but then in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, after Krishna mentions Samkhya, he mentions buddhi yoga many times. There's about 6 or 8 times where Krishna mentions buddhi yoga. And then there's the famous verse, Dami Buddhi Yogam. And it seems that Buddhi, which means intelligence, Srila Prabhupada just translates directly as bhakti. And so it seems like there's another level in between that's Gyan, Buddhi, and then the more Krishna consciousness, Karma and Krishna, well, Jnana and Krishna consciousness. And it's just like you have the one chapter is Karma Yoga, and then Karma Yoga and Krishna consciousness.
Okay.
So you have Jnana Yoga, but then you have Buddhi Yoga, which is Jnana Yoga as
Okay, I got it.
so I'm just wondering, is that a correct analogy or?
Yeah. Okay. So Krishna talks about Buddhi and Buddhi Yoga in the second chapter several times, and then we have Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam also. So is Buddhi Yoga like an intermediate level, one level between, say, from Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga to Bhakti Yoga? So as far as the standard paths are concerned, generally there is no mention of Buddhi Yoga as a separate path. There is Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, because Dhyan Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Now, the word Buddhi Yoga is, if we look at the context, Krishna uses it in different senses. The first time he uses it in 2.39, Eshate Abhita Sankhe, Buddhir Yoge Toimam Shuru, Buddhya Yukto Yaya Partha, Karma Bandhan Prahasyasi. So he says, till now I have explained in terms of Sankhya, analysis of matter and spirit, Eshate Abhita, Buddhir Yoge Toimam Shuru. Now let me explain to you in terms of the yoga of intelligence, or yoga with intelligence. We will just try to look at the meaning from the context, and then we'll put all of them together. So, Buddhi Yoge Toimam Shuru, Buddhya Yukto Yaya Partha. If you act in this way with intelligence, if you engage yourself with the intelligence, then Karma Bandhan Prahasyasi. You will become free from the bondage of karma. So here Krishna is talking about Buddhi Yoga as a process in which we apply the knowledge of Sankhya and which leads us to liberation from material bondage. Now, there's another verse in the 18th chapter, 18.56, Madash 56, which also talks about Buddhi. I'll talk about that and then I'll come back to 10.10. सर्वकर्माण्यपि सदा कुर्वाणो मद्व्यपाश्रया मत्प्रसादवाप्नोति शाश्वतं पदमव्ययम्. चेतसा सर्वकर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्परा बुद्धियोगं पाश्रित्य मच्चित्तः सततं भव. So चेतसा सर्वकर्माणि, that with all your consciousness, मयि सन्न्यस्य, or with your consciousness offer all your work to me. Cetasa sarvakarmani mai sanyasya matparaha, with me as the supreme goal. Buddhi yogam upashritya macchittah satatam bhava. With Buddhi yoga take shelter of me. Macchittah satatam bhava. In this way always be conscious of me. So here Buddhi yoga is completely in devotional context. So there it was Buddhi yoga was in an analytical context of the body soul difference. Here it is Buddhi yoga is that by which makes us conscious of Krishna. And now when Krishna uses Buddhi Yoga in the 10.10, there he says that is the gift coming from him by which we can come to him. Dadami Buddhi Yogam tam yenama upayantite. It is, so we see these three levels at which Krishna uses the word Buddhi Yoga. And so the understanding of the Buddhi means intelligence. Now intelligence also evolves or develops. So at one level with the intelligence we understand I am not the body and the soul. With another level, at another level with the intelligence I understand, I hear Krishna's voice from within and I get guided and I make wise decisions. At another level, intelligence helps me to understand, with intelligence I understand Krishna is the supreme reality and I become fixed in Krishna. So in that sense, Buddhi Yoga as it is used in the Bhagavad Gita is not referring to any particular path or any distinct path. It is referring to the application of intelligence for the purpose of yoga. So it is using intelligence for the purpose of yoga. So now depending on the second chapter, Krishna is primarily talking about karma yoga. So in that sense, the Buddhi Yoga refers to some extent you could say to karma yoga. In the 10th and the 18th chapters, Krishna is referring to Buddhi Yoga in the devotional context. So there it refers to Bhakti Yoga. Now, so Prabhupada, when he does the translations in his Bhagavad Gita, his focus is always on the essential conclusions. He does not get into technicalities too much. He does analyze the technicalities on many occasions, but his focus is on the essential conclusions. So that's why Prabhupada focuses on Buddhi Yoga as the process of devotional service. So for us as practicing devotees, yes, we can say that when we study scripture, when we hear classes, then we are actually applying Buddhi for the purpose of yoga. So that we are, in that sense, for us, Buddhi Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are equivalent. Okay, thank you. Yes, you had a question behind? Behind.
In regards to seeing all experiences in relation to Krishna, so even if someone has an inclination to like adventure seeking, then if they see in relation to Krishna it's just a spark of his splendor, then it can be like a spiritual elevating experience. So what if I'm like, I have some inclinations and I do them and then I put some effort into relating it to Krishna, but really it's kind of like I'm just using it as an excuse to indulge, and then I just keep doing it and I don't really get anywhere.
Yeah, that's true. So, if I have certain inclinations, and say if I like cricket, I watch cricket, and I say that I'm experiencing Krishna in the cricket. Well, any philosophy can be. Krishna talks in the 13th chapter, Jnanam Jneyam Jnanagamyam Hrid Sarvasya Vishtitam. Says there is knowledge, there is object of knowledge, and there is the objective of knowledge or the purpose of knowledge. So unless the purpose of knowledge is kept properly in the center, then even the best of knowledge can be misused. So for example, we have Hiranyakashipu talking about Atma Gyan to the widow of Hiranyaksha and to his mother. So, and he's talking essentially the same philosophy that Krishna is speaking to Arjuna. But Krishna's conclusion to Arjuna is that we should become devoted to the Supreme Lord. And Hiranyakashipu's conclusion is, I am going to kill the Supreme Lord. So, and he says that because I am not the body, I am the soul. So even if I am not able to kill Vishnu in this life, next life I will reincarnate. And in that way, as many lifetimes is required to get the power of austerity by which I can kill Vishnu, I will do austerity for that many lifetimes. So the knowledge and the purpose of knowledge are very important to both keep in mind. Without the purpose of knowledge, the knowledge can easily be misused. So we can justify anything. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita purport, Prabhupada says that there are some Mayavadis who say that actually Sarvam Khalmamidam Brahma. So Prabhupada actually quotes Shankaracharya. Shankaracharya was once walking along and they came to a liquor shop. And he picked up a pot of liquor and just drank it. Sarvam Khalmamidam Krishna. Sarvam Khalmamidam Brahma. He drank it. His followers, they also drank. Sarvam Khalmamidam Brahma. And then Shankaracharya went to a blacksmith shop, and there was molten iron. He took that and he drank it. Sarvam Khalmamidam Brahma. And he drank that, and his followers, they couldn't drink it. So, we cannot artificially act at levels which we are not at. So Prabhupada says that actually, yes, even when an alcoholic is drinking alcohol, they are experiencing Krishna. But when we talk about the vibhutis of Krishna, say there is Krishna's manifestations. So some manifestations take us towards him, some manifestations take us away from him. So Krishna himself is at the transcendental level. In the material level, the Sattva-guna, Rajoguna, Tamoguna, all three exist. So for example, say there may be some very intelligent atheist. Atheism itself is unintelligent, but as far as logic is concerned, reasoning is concerned, in terms of using arguments, some in atheists may be very intelligent also. Now that atheist intelligence also comes from Krishna. But if I expose myself to that atheist intelligence, what is going to happen is I am going to go away from Krishna. On the other hand, there may be a devotee also who is very intelligent, and the devotee also logically refutes all arguments. That devotee's intelligence is also coming from Krishna. So where something is coming from is important. But more important is where that thing is taking us. So an atheist intelligence and a devotee's intelligence both come from Krishna. But the atheist intelligence is going to take that atheist away from Krishna and is going to take us away from Krishna also, if we expose ourselves to that. So if a devotee's intelligence takes the devotee towards Krishna, and those who are exposed to the devotee's intelligence, they also go towards Krishna. So we have to keep the purpose in mind. The philosophy always has a purpose. So if we divorce the philosophy from the purpose, then any philosophical object can be used for anything. In India, there was a movie where there was a serial killer, and he would just kill people, and whenever he would kill someone, he would chant Nainam Chinnanti Shastrani Nainam Dahati Pavaka Nachainam Kledanti Apo the Shosheti Varuta. The soul cannot be pierced, the soul cannot be burned, the soul cannot be destroyed in the air. Now, the indestructibility of the soul is definitely not a license for indiscriminate violence. So, Ma Himset Sarvabhutani, as Prabhupada would quote. We should not cause violence to anyone. So, that way, if we keep the purpose of the philosophy in mind, Vedaishcha Sarvai Ahameva Vedyo. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. So then we can see for ourselves whether I am going closer to Krishna or I am not going closer to Krishna. And then accordingly we appreciate, yes, this is also an experience of Krishna, but am I able to connect it with Krishna? If I am not able to connect with Krishna, then better I don't expose myself to it. Does that answer your question?
Okay, so the first element is to be aware of what's my objective. So if I'm indulging in an activity and I use my awareness and see I'm using the philosophy to indulge, then that's one way I can kind of buffer against the activity. That was the first point, right?
Yeah.
And then, so the next thing is that if there is a temptation to indulge in the activity, then I want to use the philosophy, so at least it's like I have some hope of eventually getting out of it.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. So, if there is the desire to engage in some activity, and but we also want to move towards Krishna, and what do we do? Yeah, so basically, I'll say that whatever desires we have, we can broadly classify them into one level classification, material and spiritual. Another level classification we could do is there are pro-devotional desires, there are non-devotional desires, there are anti-devotional desires. So for example, desires that involve breaking of the regulatory principles, they are anti-devotional. And those we have to fight and give them up. But then there are some pro-devotional desires. Say if I learn some skills, if I learn music, I learn language, I learn cooking, I learn whatever different skills can directly be used in Krishna's service, that is a pro-devotional desire. And there can be some desires non-devotional. I just have some curiosity of history, geography, whatever, different subjects. So now, as I said in the earlier class, we may not be able to give up all desires immediately. Each of us will have to decide how we process our desires. We can't repress or deny them. So if a particular desire is strong, and if that's what we feel inspired to do, then we can do that and we can try to find some connection with Krishna. So somebody may become a scientist, and then in their particular field of science they may try to see, okay, how can I connect this with Krishna? If somebody is an artist, they may just become an artist, and then afterwards they can see, how can I use this art in Krishna's service? So that way, it's not at one level the purpose of our life ultimately is to go towards Krishna. But all of us, we are at different stages of our own spiritual evolution. So how we will move towards Krishna, we cannot have one formula for everyone. So every devotee will have to take their individual decisions. So yes, if we have a desire to explore, to go into a particular field, then we can ourselves use our intelligence to see, okay, how can I connect this with Krishna in some ways? Or maybe then if there are some other devotees working in that field, then we ask them, how do you connect this with Krishna? So that way, if we are not rationalizing whatever we want to do and calling it devotional service, but we want to do something and we also want to find out how we can use it in devotional service, then that's fine. Krishna will reveal in some way in future maybe how we can use it in devotional service. Because while we are in this world, we also have to work in this world. And Krishna says, Swakarmana tam abhyarcha siddhim vindati manava. That by your work, you worship me. So, Arjuna, when he was training to become an archer, he worked very hard, day and night. All night he would be practicing archery. That's one of the reasons why he got the name Gudakesh, one who has conquered sleep. At that time, Arjuna did not necessarily know that in the future there is going to be a Dharma Yuddha in which I am going to fight for Krishna and my archery skill will be of use to me. But his archery skill was his duty as a Kshatriya, and he excelled in it. And eventually he was able to use it in Krishna's service. So if we have some interests, as long as we don't get so consumed by those interests that we give up Krishna Bhakti for their sake, for its sake, then as a profession or as an interest, we may engage in it and try to connect it with Krishna to the best of our capacity. Does that answer your question? Thank you. Yes. Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
I listened to your lecture previously on aversion and attachment and devotion, on the difference between renunciation and aversion and attachment.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of parallels in connection with this seminar, and I kind of want to understand or get a deeper understanding of the parallel between emotional investment and utilizing my intelligence to be able to direct me towards Krishna and being able to dovetail my anarthas. Does that make sense?
Okay, I'll repeat the question. You tell me if I got it.
Okay.
So you are saying that we can invest our emotions in Krishna and we can direct our intelligence in Krishna's service, and there is dovetailing our anarthas in Krishna's service. So are the two different, or how do we do this?
Right.
Yeah. So I would say, as far as dovetailing the anarthas is concerned, that is something which is very specific. Say in Narottam Das Thakur's song says Kama Krishna Karbar Pade. That he says Kama, he doesn't refer to it as lust specifically, he says Kama means desire. So we use the desire to work for Krishna. And we use our power of desire to fulfill Krishna's desire. Kama Krishna Karmarpane. Ambarish Maharaj also said that Kamam cha dasyena tu kama kamya. He made his desires the servant of Krishna's desires. So Kama Krishna Karmarpane, Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane. Like that, there is a whole series. If there's anger we have, we direct the anger towards those who are envious of Krishna, who are blasphemers of Krishna. That doesn't mean go and beat them up. When directing the anger means anger also is an energy and it has to be directed properly. When we use that anger to systematically, logically, rationally refute their misconceptions. That is properly channeled, but that's how it's talked about. Now, for doing this, we do require to use our intelligence. So, whatever be my particular conditioning or interest or nature, if I'm going to dovetail it in Krishna's service, I have to first of all have my intelligence very clear. And if you consider, say, if this is the circle of bhakti, and this is the circle of my interests, as per my own nature, my own conditionings, whatever. So then there is some point of intersection among the two. Say, I like Sanskrit, and scriptures are in Sanskrit. I like English, and English is the medium by which we are speaking. We can speak about Krishna to most people today, many people today.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just going to ask a question.
Okay. So now if you consider the intersection of the two, that is where we want to be situated, at least in the sadhaka stage. And that is where we will be stable. If it is of no interest to us and it's only for Krishna's interest, then we will not be able to, we will feel that as if we are being deprived. And occasionally we may do that, but on a steady basis, that is the whole principle of Varnashram. A Brahmana has interest in Brahmanical activities, but the Brahmana has the Brahmanical activities for Krishna. A Kshatriya wants to manage, wants to control, to rule, and they do it for Krishna. So I was talking as far as emotional investment. That means our circle of interest. That is where we are already emotionally invested. But instead of getting emotionally invested in those things which are not connected with Krishna, we focus on those things which are of our interest and which are also connected with Krishna. And gradually, as we keep practicing bhakti, then we will move our circle of interest will overlap more and more with Krishna, and we will become more and more emotionally invested in Krishna. So, say initially somebody just likes to sing, and they may sing initially. They may be singing in mundane songs, and they come and sing Krishna songs also. So their interest is primarily in singing. But they sing about Krishna, that is their intersection point. But over a period of time, by singing about Krishna, they'll start realizing that, hey, actually there's something special in singing about Krishna. When I sing mundane songs, I don't get that special thing which I get over here. And thus, their interest will not just be only singing, it will become in singing for Krishna. So that's how we need to use our intelligence to move where we are emotionally invested, not just in mundane things, to the intersection of Krishna and our interests, and then from there, more and more to Krishna directly. Does that answer your question?
Yes,
Thank you. Yeah, one last question. Okay.
I don't know. We have one more session.
Yeah, one more session.
And it's going to be what?
On pravrutti. We're talking about how Krishna is Rasaraj, and I'm going to talk about the concept of rasa based on Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and Uddipan and Alamban. What are all those? We'll talk about that. Okay. So we will have a break now, and we'll meet back at 3:25 once again. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.